Okay, friends, neighbors, countrymen, and all you guys. This is a Fender J.A.M amplifier that came in. It's supposed to have all red knobs, but it's got a black knob, whatever. This belongs to a customer of mine. We've done some work for him before, and this was sold to him as a working amp. Apparently it was a super deal, so he just bought it, took the guy's word for it, and then when he needed it later in history, he turned it on and it made disgusting noise. Of course, I turned it on and it made disgusting noise. It sounded kind of like this. Right, so I decided to weed through the controls a little bit. The majority of the hum is coming through the reverb. The whoosh noise is coming because that's on like the lead channel, so if I put it on like clean full range, that kind of shuts up. And the chorus was making the whoosh 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 noise. So if we shut that stuff down, it does quiet down enough. We get to a usable level, but the reverb definitely no worky, and I don't know if this even amplificates a signal. Let's try to make it amplify something. Let's see, where's our guitar? There's our guitar. Plug that in over there. Okay, so we got some pretty clapped out. We got some pretty clapped out input there. Sound like they might just be filthy and need to be resprung. Okay, so at least we know what we're getting into. Let's pop the head off the chassis and see what we got. Okay, so let's give this the blind squirrel test and see if we find any nuts. By default, it seems like the controls are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. The majority of the buzzy, hummy crap noise is coming out of the reverb tank, which may or may not be, it's the reverb return, which is this wire, which looks like it's barely soldered on. That's one thing. We can deal with that. We'll figure out what's up with that. The chorus obviously seems to work. It's kind of swirly and funky. Some genius decided to cut the third prong off the power cord, so we got to solve that, because that's not cool. We don't like electric shocks here. It's just not good. The capacitors don't look dead. This thing is from the 90s, so it predates the capacitor plague. And it's a solid state unit, so it doesn't have oodles of volts to tend with. No, I was looking at those, I'm like, these things look like they're coming up off the board. They actually have a nylon washer spacer thing on them. So I think we're going to pull the knobs, clean the controls, change these poopy jacks. But let's just see before we change the poopy jacks if the reverb tank actually can work and maybe somebody just plugged it in backwards. Okay, so inspecting our reverb tank, the connector here is just dirty as frig, and it buzzes like a son of a gun when it's not plugged in. When I reseated it nice and deep, I can turn it up a little bit. It doesn't make horrible noise, and so that's definitely working now. That's just the volume of the reverb pickup. So let's see if the drive portion of it works. We'll put it there so it can pick up some more noise. And we'll plug our guitar back into it. Let's see, guitar. Come on, guitar. Sorry, that sounded like butt because it was on the lead channel. Solid state distortion, baby. Okay, where's my super cool reverb signal? Yeah, it's there. It's reverberating. Let's see if these are backwards. Sometimes the way Fender labels these, it works better one way than the other. I know they are labeled out and in, and I would think it would correspond with send and receive or send and return, but This is a Fender, and they're always backwards. It seems to work both ways, meaning they're probably very, very similar impedance. Alright. Yeah. That's a really crapped up connector, isn't it? We'll have to clean that up and tighten up all the connections on it. Yeah, it's working. Alright, so let's give it a little bit more volume and drive or whatever. Let's go to the full range normal channel or something. Yeah, the reverb's working. Let's see, we're in the high input. Let's try the low input, which may or may not work. Yeah, the reverb works well enough, but these input jacks are just rubbish. So we got to clean the jacks on the reverb, particularly on this side, because that's all hosed up. And we're going to put some good jacks on this. Clean all the controls. This should be pretty straightforward. And I think this amp just needs a bath, because it probably hasn't had one since Kurt Cobain was alive. Okay, so we've officially desoldered these horrible jacks from the board here, and believe me, they're horrible. They are horrible. Okay, so then we got basically ground, switch, tip. Yeah, ground, switch, tip. And this is like this also goes to tip, so when this thing touches it, it'll ground. You have to, like, these are tied together internally, so that won't be the case on a Switchcraft. So we're going to put those in. I did spray contact cleaner in the pots. I need to do these little switches here and put in our Switchcraft jacks, but I had to get these off the board, and then we're just going to use, you know, like good Switchcraft jacks and solder them in, and then we won't have the problem of horrible crappy jacks anymore. Okay kids, so I put in the jacks, and based on the schematic, the pins that are used are well, look at the bottom of your old jack that you pulled out, and you have pin 1, which is ground, pin 2, which is tip, and it uses pin 4, which is switch. Those are the 3 that it says are connected. It doesn't say anything about this pin 5 over here. It doesn't say anything about that. So based on that, on the schematic, that's what I went with, and we'll see if it works. Because if it doesn't, I'm gonna feel dumb. Okay, click, it's on. Turn our volume up a little bit, and it goes buzz. Sit on like clean. There we go, clean full range. Okay, so that's kind of quiet. Let's put some signal in it with our fingertip. Oh yeah. Got plenty of noise there. Let's actually try a guitar instead of noise. This thing seems like a pretty high gain circuit. Okay, let's plug our guitar in. Our guitar is like across the room, so I gotta lean back and go find it. So this is the high input, or the hot input. That feels 400 bajillion times better than that cheap plastic jack that was in there. Right. That's allegedly the high gain, and this should be the low gain. So they both work, and they work the way they're supposed to work, so yay. Let's go back into high gain. Clean and bright channel. Clean full range. Seems to work. Overdrive. There's a little bit of... Oh yeah. Feel the solid, steady goodness. And lead. Oh yeah. That's fuzzy goodness. Solid state awesomeness. We love it. Or do we? Okay, so these input jacks being crap was probably the #1 problem of this amp. And the reverb pan here, this is pretty crap too. This solder joint right there that holds the signals the pan in is pretty crap. So I'm going to touch that up real quick. Let's see. So here's your obligatory solder smoke. You guys like solder smoke. I had a Canadian gent who was discussing with me whether or not I pronounce the L in solder. I don't know, do I? Does anybody care? I mean, really? Does anybody care whether I say solder or solder? I don't know. Who cares? Mr. Carlson cares. He's the one who always makes sure he says solder. Alright, so I'm going to put the screws back in this. And then we need to put a good 3-prong power cord on, or power end on this. I'm not replacing this cord. This cord's fine. Can you even see the cord? No. Alright, well, yeah, the power cord on here is fine, but like I say, some ding-dong broke off the 3rd prong, so we're going to replace that. And then we're going to clean this up real good and tighten it up real good, and the jack on the reverb tank we're going to clean up real good so that makes good contact, and then the reverb will work. And then we're going to clean all the cooties off of it. So, I don't think there's any real rocket surgery to putting a 3-prong power cord on something and giving something a bath. So I think our next scene will just be the amp done, because we cleaned all the pots, which we do on all the amps, and we replaced the input jacks, which were total rubbish. And the reverb thing was just a loose, crappy, loose connector that needs cleaned. So mostly cleaning. This thing's probably been sitting around for a while. Alright, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so our Fender J.A.M got new input jacks, a new 3-prong power cord end, because the end somebody busted off the cord. It got all the pots and switches cleaned. It got the reverb tank cleaned and resituated. So on the clean and bright channel, I can turn the volume up to the gills and it doesn't make any noise at all. I can turn it on full whatever and turn it up and it doesn't make any noise at all. I can put it on overdrive and it doesn't make hardly any noise. And then when you get to the lead channel, that one's going to kind of go whoosh because it's like running through this distortion circuit with 2 LEDs. So it's you know, like turning your metal zone up to 10. Yes, I said metal zone. Okay, reverb is quiet. I can turn it all the way up and it doesn't make any hissing or buzzing like it was. So that's good. And let's see if we can hear the chorus going woo woo woo. Not at this time. I think we have to, yeah, we have to put it on the lead channel to get enough noise to actually hear the chorus, but that's okay. Let's plug our guitar in and give it a whirl. Let's see. I'm not even gonna stop the tape. Let's just plug in the guitar or guitar. And this thing's only supposed to be 25 watts. That's a pretty loud 25 watts. Yowza. Okay. So we're on the clean full range channel. Let's go with that. Turn our volume to modest, reverb to lots, and let's see if it surfs. Okay, so that's supposed to be full range, whatever, because it doesn't really seem to have EQ. The reverb is a little not super loud, but it works. And a little clanky. That's the reverb kind of sounding clanky. Let's see. It's definitely not the amp. Let me see if I can find an obvious reason why the reverb is being clanky. Okay, when there's junk against the springs, the reverb is clanky. We've already discovered that. So, bright channel. Alright, that's cool. Full range, clean. Let's put some chorusy goodness on that. That's got the analog chipset in it, that MN3007 and whatever the Boss CE2 chorus chips. Those. All right, let's try the overdrive channel. That's actually not bad. This is the regular overdrive channel. I'm going to back the reverb off a little bit, and let's turn that up. The regular crunch channel isn't bad. The reverb is annoying me with that, so. And then you kind of have some tone control, like this makes it brighter, I think. And then this should make it darker. So that's cool. And let's try the lead channel. This is extremeness. So this is apparently the predecessor to the Extreme channel as introduced by Line 6 later in direct answer to this. So yeah, it's working now. Hooray, everything seems to be solved. This is the higher gain channel that we're on. And then we can try the lower gain channel just to prove they're different. And you can hear it's definitely louder when it's in that side. So, you know, you can, I guess I would say for stage volume, you know, plug into high input, and for practice room volume, go to low input, and you're good. I mean, it seems to work. It's a 25 watt solid state Fender J.A.M from about 1990, 91, something like that. It's covered in gray carpet. It has a Fender branded speaker. It has a chorus. It has 2 different overdrives and 2 different cleans, and now it works. And it didn't when it came in here. Well, it did, but it worked like crap. And now it works like it's supposed to work. Yay. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.